It doesn't happen. So somebody has told Donald Trump, no, you do not have the authority to tell me what to do. Update, Smithsonian Institute. The institution defies Trump's order to fire the director, put it up for a mass. We still got some folk that have heart and care about showing it. In an update, after much meddling by the White House, the Smithsonian Institution is taking a stand officially, publicly, directly against the Trump administration, asserting that it has sole authority over its hiring practices. The museum's governing board released a statement after meeting Monday. His first comment since Trump said last month that he had fired the director of the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery, Kim Sajet. Okay? Now, once again, this is Trump, the game show host, yelling, "You're fired," and expecting it to be. Why? Because the other cult leaders and feckless powers who serve under him have done so and normalized this extremely adversarial and holistically unethical and illegal framework that he's created in this administration. What they are doing here is reminding people of how it actually works. But a full man. So Trump's social media post last month said he fired Kim Sajet because he thinks she's biased. Quote, upon the request and recommendation of who? Many people, he says. Many people. I am hereby terminating the employment of Kim Sajet as director of the National Portrait Gallery. Trump posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, in May. Quote, she is a highly partisan person, a strong supporter of DEI, which is totally inappropriate for her position. Her replacement will be named shortly, he said. He's not even attempting to go through something that looks like an official channel for nothing, okay? He's trying to get more followers on his Truth Social account. There's more. So in addition to Trump's criticism over what he called her support for diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, the White House said that she had engaged in acts of, quote, partisanship and made, quote, public comments about racial and gender inequality in America, end quote, according to a report in the New York Times. As of last week, she was still on the job, continuing to report for work every day, according to news and social media reports. Do you understand what the administration is saying? You can't let them get away with this. Whatever job you may have, you still have the right, the freedom of protected speech. You can have opinions about social dynamics. You can have opinions about race. You can have opinions about elected officials. It is your constitutional right. So much so that the government cannot infringe upon it. This is literally the government infringing upon the right of a citizen to have a damn opinion. And because of her opinion, noted in appropriate places, all of a sudden she's not qualified, but Trump gets to utilize his office in order to create opinion inside of legislation. There's more. However, I love this part. The cultural institution said in the press release that is only its secretary can hire and fire workers. Quote, Lonnie G. bunch is the secretary, has the support of the Board of Regents, and in his authority and management of the Smithsonian, quote, all personnel decisions are made by and subject to the direction of the secretary with oversight by the board, end quote. Bunch, the founding director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History, oversees the Smithsonian's 21 museums, 21 libraries, National Zoo, numerous research centers, education programs. Lonnie ain't playing the radio with him. Give a damn what you said. Lonnie is very clear. He has the governing authority. Now, the Trump administration, they have gotten away with this with other nonprofits that are partially funded by the federal government. It looks like Lonnie and his whole team, they're leading by example. So the VP got involved because he literally has no other job. So he decided to opine on this matter. Was also at the quarterly meeting where Trump's announcement of firing was discussed. The board promised to review the exhibits and displays. It should also be noted that after Trump's executive order in January declaring DEI a great evil, he said, quote, it's illegal and immoral. He doesn't get to write laws, by the way, but he said it. The Smithsonian closed its diversity office, froze hiring for federal positions, and ordered its staff to return to the office in April. Now, here's an example of other things the White House has decided to meddle in and we've basically normalized.
Decades-old artifacts related to slavery and civil rights are rotating out of exhibits at the museum as a potential White House review looms large. In late March, President Trump signed an executive order demanding, in part, the museum take down any exhibits that, quote, divide Americans based on race. But now the White House says that it's washing its hands of any involvement in changes at the museum. NBC News went inside the museum and found at least 32 artifacts currently removed, including Harriet Tubman's Book of Hymns. Gospels believed to have been sung as she led enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. And the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, the memoir of one of the most important leaders in the abolitionist movement. Both items gifted to the Smithsonian. The institution pushing back on critics, saying on their website, quote, claims that objects have been removed for reasons other than adherence to standard loan agreements or museum practices are false.
I want you to remember that Trump, one, embraced, at least on the surface level, Black stuff. He tweeted on Black history. He tweeted on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Okay. He acted as if he knew Frederick Douglass personally when he cited him, because he didn't know who he was. But he talked Black. He had Black context to the degree that a bigoted billionaire can have, because for him and many others, they have simply been playing a game. What has happened now is that we are all behind the curtain with them. The game show has ended and you see them for who they are. So now he's eliminating everything that references Black. Now he can say the word race, but obviously when you are the majority, the context is provided for those that are in the minority demographic. That's how it works for every country. All right, Waz, thoughts here?
I thought it was interesting that the executive order said you got to remove anything that divides the country by race, as if the Smithsonian itself is who divided the human race by color of their skin, and not merely just documenting the actual history of the country. Like, if you let Trump tell it, we were all just one human race until the Smithsonian came with their DEI stuff and divided us. It's quite hilarious to even consider. And yeah, man, I think it's great in terms of it being, 5 months into this new administration and some of these institutions getting their bearings about them, be like, wait a minute, man, we don't got to sit here and get punked and bullied by Donald Trump. Like, we live in a country with something called the rule of law. Like, this guy's going to have to take us to court if he's going to be able to come Bigfoot us and tell us what to do at our freaking museum.
Yeah.
Also, I love the idea that there's anybody visiting this museum who like loves Donald Trump at all, like as if that was like a thing. It's one of those things. It's like I would never show up to an NRA meeting. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't. Just not my thing. But like to pretend that like stuff that's going on in there has anything to do with me. It's for people who are curious about the history of the country. Like, I myself, if anything, my critiques about the Black Smithsonian is that doesn't have enough Black stuff and race stuff. I think we could do a more diverse set of Black characters and not just the ultimate winners. But the idea that it's too racial or too divisive is just absolutely crazy, dude. And I'm glad that these guys are stepping up and challenging this guy.
Yeah, me too. And there's an interesting dynamic I've considered here. You get rid of the places that tell facts based on their design, like an institution museum, right? You figure out how to get rid of them. You've already gutted curriculum to actively tell lies. You come to a point where Trump will end up saying that white people were actually enslaved. And what record is going to tell you differently? Now, that's an extreme version of the propaganda that's happening, but you see it taking place. Jan 6 went from, on that day, being denounced by Republican leadership to being patriots of freedom in the United States of America. That is how propaganda works with these guys.